Just try leave studio.
And that's what we're in. We're in. Hey!
And we're live. Oh my God. Oh,
Hello,
not awkward at all.
Not awkward. Hey, everyone.
Hi.
Excited utterance here. I have
Dolly
Dolly
talk.
with me.
That
That was so weird. Yeah. I pressed go live like 2 minutes ago.
Yeah.
And it sat there going bloop, 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 thinking. And then it went blah, no, die. And honestly, and then it said, oh, your internet's not working. We're like, how could it not be? We're talking to one another. And then all of a sudden, we're live. And it's like, oh, hi. Hey, everyone. That was weird.
Very.
And awkward, not. Hey,
Yeah.
Josie. Hey, Fed. How's it going? We will not walk silently into the night StreamYard. Well, no, not silently, just like halfway through a sentence.
Yeah.
Ew. Okay, well, hello, everybody. We have something new for you today.
Yes.
Something new. I don't know whether or not any of you have heard of this guy before. I knew about this fella. I have been watching and watching for him to come up on our radar. But Dali, had you heard of him before?
I had not. Sorry, I got like Windows blasting. Keep talking.
Okay. Yeah. And he's an interesting one.
Yeah, I had not heard
Robert Tellis. Yeah, from Nevada. In fact, he's actually a public administrator. Is that the term? Not sure. But he had his eyes on the job of governor, like the top job. Yeah. And then something happened. So I'm not going to be the one to tell the story. We actually have an article from Esquire.
Yes.
Back around the time that this all went down. And then we're going to have a look at a hearing from the other day where he actually appeared in court. Now, he's decided to defend himself, which, apparently that's never a good idea.
But he is a lawyer.
So, apparently he's a lawyer. I don't know if he's a trial lawyer.
No.
Now,
well, at least not criminal.
Yeah. Now, as our friends in the law community keep telling us, even no matter how good of a lawyer you are, apparently that's not a great idea.
No.
Right? It's kind of like being a hairdresser and cutting your own hair from the back. Not the best idea.
Yeah.
Or tattooing your own ass.
Yes.
Not the best idea. Anyway. How's it going, Pixie? Yeah, this is Liv. See, swept.
Eventually.
Liv. Can you not tell it's Liv? Did you see how it started? Okay. Oh, yeah. Hello.
Oh.
Hello. Yeah. But yeah, he does. He looks a bit like a cartoon character. He's got like the evil big monobrow. All right, let's get straight into it. Let's have a look at this. Let's have a look at this article. Can we zoom it up a bit, please, darling? Lovely. All righty, right. So, do you want to read it?
Yeah, sure. Can you see it?
Because yeah, we can see it. We won't read the whole thing. We'll just, we'll skim a bit. We'll start from the beginning because this is legit, like Hollywood stuff.
Yeah.
But in Las Vegas, Love and Loathing in Las Vegas was how it was described.
So,
go.
Robert Tellis isn't willing to discuss how his DNA ended up under the fingernails of Jeff German, or why his wife's car was spotted near the 69-year-old investigative reporter's house on a warm Friday morning in early September, a day before a neighbor discovered German's lifeless body at the side of his Las Vegas home, or how an outfit matching the one worn by the suspect captured on security cam footage wound up in Tellis's home. Speaking to me at the Clark County Detention Center, a couple miles north of the Vegas Strip. Tellis is serious but engaged, eager to please even. But he must be careful about what he says. His court-appointed lawyers at the time made that clear. The man charged with premeditated murder in one of the most sensational cases in recent history, one that drew the attention of virtually every major newspaper and network in the country, is short and lean with dark eyes framed by black caterpillar brows beneath
Caterpillar
a
brows.
gleaming bald head. Wow.
Ooh,
This is good. I like his style.
that's good.
He's no longer wearing the thick white bandages that were wrapped around his forearms, covering up what officials described as self-inflicted wounds when he first appeared in court 6 days after German's murder. He faced the judge that day with a wry smile before being led back to jail in shackles. There's that lovely-looking man. Ooh.
Oh, check him out. Wow.
Looks constipated.
He doesn't look happy.
Tellis, 46, says he simply can't address the allegations that he unalived Jeff German. But it turns out he's more than happy to tell me about German's role in ruining his life. The veteran journalist wrote a series of exposés for the Las Vegas Review-Journal in mid-2022 that almost certainly killed Tellis's bid for re-election as Clark County's public administrator. Hey, Dave. A low-profile role that the ambitious Tellis had hoped to use as a launchpad to greater things. Instead, he was usurped by his deputy and bitter rival. Tellis denies many of the damning allegations in German's stories. The alleged inappropriate relationship that Tellis had with an employee, his bullying management style. He gets especially agitated when he starts talking about how his own employees leaked details to German in a ruthless attempt to unseat him. That's when everything started to unravel. This didn't occur until Jeff German got involved, says Tellis, tensing up. Before, he says, he was just trying to inject some new life into a sleepy government agency. Who knew that a few new ideas would stir up so much bitterness, anger, and scheming?
Scheming.
As he sits in jail, separated from his wife and 3 children, facing life in prison, it's clear Tellis still hasn't left behind the drama of the county department he ran. Those employees who talked to German for his initial story, they were not pulling their own weight. That's all I'd hoped they would do before the article came out. Tellis says, I wanted them to start working and put the knives away. Almost from the moment he'd arrived, Robert Tellis spelled trouble. That's how it seemed, at least to Rita Reed, the second in command at the Clark County Public Administrator's Office, who has worked there for 15 years. Reed had her new boss pegged. Whoa, sweetie.
What?
Whoa. Well, this got steamy all of a sudden. Jeez, phrasing, sir.
Phrasing.
Sir, use a thesaurus next time. His name is German.
The decedent's name is German.
Tellis had 2 faces. She tells me in a half-empty Panera Bread in late September. She's wearing an oversized knit sweater despite the heat. If he doesn't want you to see his evil side, then you're not going to see it. Ugh.
Oh, okay. So that's the decedent on the left.
Oh.
That's German. So that is him coming to the office to, it was interview kind of thing. So at that point, the defendant
Didn't know.
Didn't know that it was going to be an expose.
Or a hit piece, basically.
Yeah. So that's a
So
really
they got all
telling
along.
photo.
Nice.
Yeah, so the defendant actually was like, oh, check me out. This is going to be like a piece
Yeah.
about how great I am.
And, I want to be governor one day, so.
Yeah, read the caption below this.
In May, German visited the public administrator's office and interviewed the central figure of his reporting, Robert Tellis. 5 days later, the Las Vegas Review-Journal published its first expose on the department. Less than 4 months later, German was unalived.
How's that? How's that?
Soon after winning the 2018 election to serve as public administrator, and in January 19 assuming office, Tellis made it known.
Right, distant.
Tellis made it known that he saw the job as a stepping stone. The public administrator was, after all, a low-ranking government position. The office he oversaw comprised all of 9 full-time employees and a handful of part-time hires. Tellis told his staff he planned someday to run for county commissioner. After that, governor. Still.
Yeah, right.
He threw himself into the role, and it bothered Reed that he settled in without so much as asking her for guidance. Reed, 65, a devout Christian with a prim demeanor, was an office mainstay.
I love this writer.
She had served Tellis's predecessor for 12 years and had been intricately involved in nearly every aspect of the office's workings. But under the new regime, I was excluded from pretty much every conversation. Reed says, the public administrator's office, housed in a downtown red brick building containing neat rows of cubicles, is tasked with securing dead people's property when no one comes to claim it. Okay. Wow. The work is both tedious and emotionally draining, a daily confrontation with the darkest details of people's former lives and sour dreams. No shortage of that in Las Vegas.
No.
Many people die without any indication of whom they wanted their stuff to go to. This task then falls to the public administrator's office, whose investigators, sometimes clad in hazmat suits, go to the home of the deceased to secure their possessions once the body has been removed. By the time By the time the investigators arrive, usually the gas and power have been turned off for days or weeks, and the air hangs heavy with the stench of decay.
Okay, hazmat suits was not on my bingo card at all.
More often than not, the dead leave behind huge messes beyond the expected ones, like a sink brimming with dirty dishes. The brain matter that one investigator told me she found splattered on the walls of a closet, evidence of a recent suicide, and the detached finger that same investigator found in the feces of a dog that had eaten parts of its owner's body. What the hell?
Dude. What is this about? How did we get to this?
Ooh. My.
Who's that?
Okay, that's German.
Oh, German before his murder. Oh, wow.
He spent 3 decades covering Las Vegas casino tycoons, mobsters, and dirty money. And some weirdo, bald-headed politician is the one who gets you in the end. You lived to 69 reporting on mobsters.
See, so, like, how is it 2 days in a row that we are making jokes about hands being serviced? How does that happen? And it's 2 completely separate cases. How is that?
What, so the finger wasn't digested?
The dog pooped a pig.
The dog fingered the suspect. The dog pointed the finger at the suspect.
Let's just pause to reflect.
That image.
Pause to reflect.
Just
pause. Oh God.
Oh, this is lovely.
All right, are they going to say anything more about him? Maggots are called rolling rice. This journalist has gotten so flowery.
Okay, so there's a little more, I think, of the backstory.
Okay.
Against this grim backdrop, office tension simmered when Tellis sought to make changes, introducing a checklist system, cutting overtime pay. Some veteran staffers pushed back. In Tellis's eyes, his employees were resistant to change and unnecessarily stubborn. I wanted them to pull their own weight. It didn't help that Tellis lacked management experience suited to his job. He moved LA or Las Vegas 20 years ago and worked as an HVAC technician. In 2014, he received a law degree from UNLV and opened his short-lived firm, Accolade Law.
Okay.
To celebrate its opening, Tellis held a ribbon-cutting ceremony at his office in a dingy downtown shopping center, remembered by a fellow UNLV law school graduate in attendance as being so cringe.
So cringe. Okay, this journalist here really doesn't like him. This is not even German. This is not even the dude who's unalived, right? So this is what people are writing about this dude. Wow. I mean, this guy here is happy that he's in jail.
Yeah.
Right? Like, because I swear, if he were out, he'd be the next one.
Yeah.
Yeah. He better watch his back. In fact, you better hope that Tellis doesn't have any mates.
Yeah.
Because his mates would be after this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Better watch his back.
So there's like all this drama, and
I'm pretty sure this drama goes on for just chapters. In fact, this is probably worth coming back to.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, sweet.
Okay.
Do you wanna watch the motion?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know a motion or a hearing. I think it's a hearing.
Discovery issues.
It's discovery issues. So I think the defendant has actually brought forth or requested this hearing because he has discovery issues.
Please remain seated and come to order. Court is now back in session.
United State versus
there he is.
Tellis. Mr. Tellis is
There's our
present,
handsome boy.
and he's in custody. Do the parties want to make their? Oh, you guys are both over there.
Yes.
I don't know why he
Matthew Christian for the Las Vegas
but
Department. Good morning, Your Honor.
Okay.
yes, you do.
Good morning, Your Honor.
I think he thinks he's pretty smart.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Are you the only one, Mr. Chesnoff?
I'm online, Your Honor. I had to stand outside because the network connection was bad.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure there wasn't anyone else.
Apparently, his trial is set for
This is in the court.
March.
Yeah.
See Mr. DeMarco.
Your Honor, Joel Tasker for the Review Journal as well.
Okay. Are you gonna? Do you want to come up?
Would you mind turning closed captions on, please?
It's up to you. I don't.
Yeah, I don't know that
They're
we'll
available?
participate, but we'll speak up if we do.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. There were first a couple of discovery issues that I wanted
Thank you very
to
much.
take care of. Counsel for Metro sent a couple of packets over during this time that the stay was in place and asked me to look at
I'm
them
looking
to
for a
see if they
volume
should be
booster.
turned over. Before I
used to have
was
one.
inclined to turn them over, but before I did, I just wanted to make sure there was a clear record that it could be
I
turned
feel
over.
like she's very Nevada.
The
Yeah.
precautions taken not to disseminate or copy. The first one I marked as Courts Exhibit number 1, and it's emails from Detective Mappy and Detective Gaddis between September 2nd and September 7th, and it's the CAD unit logs. And so
I'll turn it up more in a
also
minute
these
if it's still
emails,
low.
when I looked through these
I
emails,
just don't want to
they
blast.
basically look like they're emails with attachments.
Guys, what do you think, chat?
You've indicated, yeah, they're.
I'm just sometimes they turn the
emails.
audio
They're just
on.
basically
Yeah.
a header.
I mean,
Just
you
takes
can
a minute.
read it
And
as
then-
well.
It looks like there's attachments, but you indicated that the defendant already had the photos or whatever these
Oh, the
attachments
photos,
are.
yeah, I do remember that now, Your Honor. Yeah,
This judge looks like she has a couple
I do remember that. I
margaritas
think
at
we did
lunch.
attach surveillance
Yeah.
logs. I know that was one thing that Mr. Paulson was really interested in. I think that those are.
This is like, oh God, this is Karen.
Do you want to approach?
This is
and
like
look at
the
it?
HOA president
I mean,
became a
it didn't look
judge.
like-
Yeah.
It really looks like email.
Hey, little
Hey,
peanut.
And then, I mean, it does talk about surveillance, but I assumed it was in the,
Ah,
the
see, you're
attachments.
hilarious.
While he's doing that, could we circulate this list that
Ah.
we put together for everybody regarding the evidence that has
we
not?
will in a minute.
Thank you. Just trying to be efficient. Excuse me.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
No,
So you
Jeez.
That
think,
reminds me,
guy
yeah.
a
His
gorilla
arms are
He has them
huge.
already.
Yes,
and hairy.
okay?
yeah.
You even got
I
like
mean,
Nice
if
hair on the
hair
back of it.
would like me to
What's
reproduce
the thing with
those,
his
I
head?
can. I remember when I was looking at it, Your Honor, the
Plenty of hair.
photos were very cumbersome to print. And I think that the regular system in place that does not involve me, between detectives and the DA's office is more of an electronic
Dude, don't worry
type of
about it.
transfer
It's
of
fine.
those types of big files. So I think that we tried to print photos and they weren't coming out of our
Yeah,
printer.
there's
And then when
no
I
reason
learned that
to.
he already has
Okay, with
photos,
the
I
subtitles.
went
Put it
this
up in the
route
top right.
with just alerting the court that I didn't include the photos.
Top
The
right.
surveillance
That's the
log,
most I can
there were
do.
draft
Oh, is
logs.
it?
It won't let me move to the
Okay.
right.
Oh, we'll
that
put it up in the top
indicates.
left one.
But again, my understanding is that these surveillance logs,
That's cool.
which were, I think more on the intel side,
Okay,
had been already produced through the district attorney. But again, if they
Sorry, I'm a
don't,
designer.
if
I have to
Mr.
have
Tulsa
things
doesn't have
described.
them, I'm more than happy to try to coordinate that.
okay, but he'll be able to tell by
Try
the
fingers
dates
on the
in
way.
the email.
Yeah, what I recall is there were two
I get it.
surveillance logs that were, within the scope of the request.
Okay, just for the
There were two
record,
total.
you did make some redactions, but it's my understanding they were, like personal identifying issues.
Could be, yes. And as my letter indicates, there's undercover officer names that we apparently redacted. I don't necessarily, well, okay, now I do recall that, yes. There's, the surveillance indicates the initials and the name maybe of an undercover officer. So to protect the identity of that officer, I redacted it and I would ask that it be maintained as confidential.
Okay, so I just want to make sure the
There
record.
was an undercover cop involved.
Those redactions, and it did appear to me it was like personal identifying information,
Yep.
but there was no news gathering information in this packet,
Not in the first
Right.
packet.
okay?
Right.
And so, there's no objection to turning this over to Mr. Tellis, right?
Not that, no, there would be no objection from me. I don't know if the RJ would make an argument that something in there.
Well, this
Is
one to me
journalistic.
didn't appear like you had sent it to, the other one you did
No.
send to the RJ.
Right.
And they apparently, according
What's
to
the
your
RJ?
correspondence, were okay
Not
with
sure.
it.
No.
But this one you didn't appear, it didn't appear to me as
I
though
did
you
not.
sent,
I did not, the first packet with emails back and forth between Derek Jaffe and Justine Gaddis, no, I did not send that to the RJ, nor the CAD unilogs. That
She's
actually
a little bit
occurred.
like Cindy.
As we move forward, it's kind of becoming more obvious that the RJ has a very expansive view of what journalistic material is. So I don't think there was anything in
Obviously
there
her
that
lady
could possibly
is.
consider this journalistic material, other than the one email that I didn't provide until the second packet, that I did run by the RJ.
okay, because these
Yeah.
are just emails between the detectives.
Right. I don't believe that there's journalistic material in that first packet, no.
She seems to be trying to get
Get
him
The
to hand
second
over
email though
what
has been
the
this
guy's
issue
asking
since-
for, the
since
defendant's asking
July
for.
before.
Okay, so what Metro sent, I have marked as court's exhibit number 1. And I'm gonna provide it to the state. Does the state have it already?
I don't know if we have it like in that format, as we can have a copy as well, please.
I have a copy for the state.
Thank you.
From Charlotte. And then the second one, and this was the email that you
Yes.
had withheld between the detectives, and it's my understanding that you sent this to the RJ, and with the redactions that are there now, that the RJ had no objection.
I wonder what the
So,
RJ is. What?
they
why
do
is
have an
anyone-
objection, certain objections that they made redactions, and I don't agree with the redactions. So that's a dispute, I think, that can be resolved at this point. What happened, Your Honor, is I learned that Mr. Tullis had sought every communication between Derek Jaffe and Justine Gaddis.
Right.
So I did the search, and in that first packet, I provided the vast majority of what the search uncovered. But this one email I knew would be
An issue.
disputable. So,
It's
not
RJ,
just
right?
disputable, it's
Yeah.
clearly is talking about journalism. So I withheld it, and in an abundance of caution, I alerted everybody that it existed by filing, I think I called it a notice. The next day, the RJ objected to, my notice
What's
suggested
covering
that I
Jenny?
provided to Your Honor to look at.
Unless
and
maybe that's the
determine
initials
whether or
of the
not it should
undercover
be
cop.
provided to Mr. Tullis, because he
No,
specifically
they
was asking.
refer to the RJ.
So that was what I was sort of offering.
So it's like
I didn't call it a motion,
maybe it's
but I
some
can
sort
see
of
where it would be construed as a motion.
Expert body.
So the RJ objected to my suggestion that I
The
provided to
RJ
Your Honor.
objected to my
Then,
suggestion that I provided.
A few days
To the
later, there
honor,
was a
then
file review. I wasn't
it's
here.
like a separate body.
Kissinger appeared. And
Oh,
there was a discussion
review
about his
journal.
protocol. Plus I got a letter
Oh,
and
fucking,
it said, or
the media.
thank
opposition
you.
direction said that they would
Ah.
have a look at it.
That was driving me nuts.
And maybe they would move
believe.
the issue.
It's
because
your
they didn't have any
jumper.
objections. So, yes, eventually, well, a short time later, I gave it to the
Where's
RJ.
the
They
juice?
reviewed it, and they do have objections to an unredacted version of the email going to Mr. Tullis.
Okay.
We kind of had a lot of, there was a back and forth between me and the RJ about that. I did not copy
Oh,
the
don't worry, we
state
worked it out.
because,
Yeah, apparently, like there's a lot of
Review journal.
media like information and sources and stuff that's confidential. So someone in the media can't be compelled to like give up their sources and stuff like that. So it's kind of complicated.
Did you just Google that?
Me?
intending that it shouldn't be disseminated to anybody. So the state
Makes
is not
sense.
privy to it.
Yeah.
There was letters going back and forth.
Well,
where I
they said
argued-
it was the Review Journal opposed the meeting and was making waves about, or I guess like information that would be turned over to Telus contains his news gathering materials.
Makes sense.
that it's not journalist. Well, Mr. Tullis's rights overcome the privilege, plus it's been waived. So I asked them to please reconsider, and they said no. So to me, this is a dispute that could be resolved now, and it probably should be, because whatever Your Honor decides, I think will help guide special masters as they move forward, because Your Honor is going to have to balance Mr. Tullis's rights against the RJ's rights.
So you made these redactions at the request of the RJ's counsel.
No, the RJ, I gave them an unredacted version of it. They redacted it and sent it back to me, and they said, we don't mind if you give this redacted version to Judge Levitt, but if they did object to it being provided to you unredacted.
Okay, do they object to it being provided to the defendant in the redacted format? Go ahead, Mr.
I don't know.
Chesnoff.
I have an idea. We're meeting with the
Who's
police
talking?
lawyers with Ann.
Oh, the Zoom call, I
And
think.
they rescheduled us to come back. And I think it would be far better for everybody. This was on the agenda for the meeting, and we discussed it and reached some clear conclusions about what positions both sides take. Maybe we'll be able to figure this out, but I don't think we should be required to figure it out right now, considering the fact that some things were shared with us and some things weren't, and there hasn't really been the dialogue that I know we can have. So that's my suggestion, Your Honor. We wait till Monday, we all sit in a room, we talk about all the potential issues. Maybe we'll reach some agreements, and if we don't, we'll report that back to the court.
Okay, so
And Your
I
Honor-
misunderstood. I really thought that they were okay with the redacted format. So
I
I
thought
will
they
not
were too.
turn over exhibit
Okay,
2 at this time. I'll
So
allow
he's
the
from
RJ
the
to be heard
Review
Sure.
journal.
on whether
Yeah.
it gets turned over to
Right.
the parties.
and
to the
It's
state
kinda
I
like
would like to
defense.
be able
there's
to
three
do
different
that
parties
to
right
the
now
state as
arguing.
well, because
Got
they're
you.
the ones that know more about whether something is Brady material or not. They don't even have a
I
copy.
mean,
of this
I was
email.
gonna turn it over.
Yeah.
So, but again, I didn't think that the RJ had any objection after these, redactions had been made. So I can hold off on
Okay.
exhibit 2, you got exhibit 1, correct? It's a packet of,
Guys having argy-bargy.
May I give it to Ms. Weckerly, or do I need to not give
in
it
the
to Ms.?
redacted format.
Yeah,
I mean, I think you have to in order for the state to take a position.
right.
Right, and I'm,
I would- I
I'm
haven't
not,
done
I
that.
can't really look at things that the parties can't look at.
Well, that's
So-
that would be my position, but I haven't done that yet. Because, I don't want to be accused of disseminating journalism to anybody.
I think that the state has to see it in order, I mean, give it to them obviously in the redacted format, but I think they have to in order to
Okay.
take a position. Again, I would have turned it over today.
Right.
But I'll allow
Your Honor,
the RJ to be heard on it.
yeah,
Thank you.
maybe, as Mr. Chesnall suggested, just defer the turnover from the police to the state until at least after Monday when we have a chance to meet.
That's fine. I
Okay,
mean, it was literally just one piece of paper.
understood, but I just
Well,
want
maybe two.
It's 2 pages.
Got
By the
one
time we get
and
into
a
the-
little bit
yeah.
on the second page, so,
Right.
yeah, that's fine.
let's
That's
hold
fine.
off and then we'll put that on the agenda to
Yeah,
discuss.
that's why I'm glad, I wanted to make a clear record, so.
It would be the same for the call data, Your Honor. I don't know if Your Honor recalls that again, when I was not here in July at that proceeding, the issue of this call data came up. And then the RJ clearly takes the position that the call data from Mr. Bierman's phone is journalism. And so that,
All of it?
I think that is their position. And so that's another thing we
Okay.
can discuss on Monday, but it's probably going to be before Your Honor before too long, because I don't think the state's going to take the position that the entirety of the call data is
Hey, John.
journalism or privileged.
Hey.
At least some of it
It's
has
not
to be.
gonna be relevant either.
Right.
Well, Your Honor, I think the call data, obviously. there's
Absolutely looks like a
confidential
know-it-all.
sources in there, and so, that seems like the sort of thing that should go through the protocol.
Yeah, he's just
that's on
waiting.
Monday.
But I mean, there's a limited time
He knows
frame,
he has to wait his
you
turn.
know,
This
'cause
guy.
like, if there's stuff in his phone from 3 years ago,
No, I think the
I
call
mean,
data
clearly
is,
that's not gonna be,
I think it's
relevant.
only maybe, the time frame is already limited. But
okay, it's
I
already limited.
don't disagree, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. I wasn't seeking the phone records for Mr. Gurman. I'm seeking certain phone records that are listed in this list that we'll get to.
It's in the
So
jury
I don't know
box.
that, again,
But
unless there's a stance that, I'm not
Oh,
sure
Macy's a cool
that,
name.
there's exculpatory information there. Perhaps we can get into that discussion, or Monday they can get into that discussion and figure out what needs to be redacted. If there's really any exculpatory value in Mr. Gurman's records.
And that, I mean, that's
Yes.
fine. And then I had, there was an email,
Hey, Bill.
it's like
Hey,
it's
Bill.
from Glenn Cook to the sheriff,
yes,
and it has some redactions, I'm assuming you made those redactions as well?
yes, I think what's redacted are the,
It looks like personal,
yes, email addresses maybe.
that is exactly what it looks like to me.
Yeah, probably is not that important because anyone can figure out my email address or anyone that works at Metro.
Yeah,
But
or the government.
It's a standard sort of thing that's redacted.
Okay, so there's that one email and then like a draft of the Oath Keepers story. And then the
Yes.
other stuff is all public record. These stories have already run
Right.
in the RJ, so.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the court's referring to, but we've already attached.
Do you want to approach?
Sure. The Glenn Cook email to Sheriff Lombardo has already
Sure.
we've already filed that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right,
that's
all
it,
right. So
that's-
it's not, just make sure
Yeah.
it's the same thing.
Yeah.
So I just want to make sure that wasn't
Yeah.
something that I needed to review and turn over.
This
Because I
guy's
think-
annoying
I
me.
mean, all
She
this
looks like
stuff
Nancy
that
Grace.
is attached, is
Yes.
public record, so.
Yeah, the only thing that we
Yeah.
redacted, this is an exhibit to some.
Sorry,
that
Kat.
filed
Okay.
probably multiple things. And the only thing that's redacted are the email
I
addresses.
just lost the
of
plot then. Yes,
Sheriff
she's Nancy
Lombardo,
Grace.
which again, anyone
Yeah.
could have figured out.
Probably in the
but also
military.
Glenn Coates, Benjamin Litton.
Borowski, I saw him in an interview.
Okay,
Like
just
that guy's
towards the bottom,
posture
there
is
may
just
be some relevant information,
looks
and so.
uncomfortable.
So Mr. Tellis has that.
The way he
it's
sits
been
up so
attached
upright.
and pleads, and it's part of the
Yes.
public record. Perfect.
Yes.
So that doesn't have to be
Yeah, thank you, Judge.
All right.
I just thought of something. Obviously, we've got these issues that the RJ might have concern with. Perhaps these items that might be in dispute after Monday should go to the special masters as well, right, for review.
I think that's what,
Special
was-
masters.
Ms.
Right,
Weckerly,
the special master.
Special masters is someone in this case where there's sensitive information, either lawyer files that might be needed in an investigation, or in this case from the journalist who has confidential media or documents and stuff. A special master is a lawyer that decides what is relevant to be turned over to the other side.
So he
And what
wants
is-
it to go through another
He wants
stage
it to
of.
go to a special master. It sounds like all of the information.
Okay, so it's already been through a review journal.
Well, no, Review Journal is the name of the news website that is trying to prevent some of this information being turned over.
Oh, the review journal
Yeah,
itself,
RJ.
the one that actually
Review Journal
published
is-
it in the
yeah.
first place.
Or like,
I get it now.
it's like work
Right.
product kind of, or stuff like that.
I see. They're the ones who actually don't want to
Or
reveal the
want
information.
some of it not to be turned over.
Ah, okay, sorry.
Yeah,
Right.
because I mean, journalists have a lot of sources and
Oh, they don't
confidential
want to
stuff
reveal their
about story.
sources.
Yeah,
I
stuff like that.
see. Okay, right. That makes a bit more sense. Thank you for filling in the
Well, Ms.
blanks.
Weckerly mentioned yesterday that I was poised to file a motion, and that was exactly what I was asking for. That, these two
Hey,
pieces of
David.
evidence are now already.
Why are you
in dispute.
ignoring him?
And so
Yeah,
pursuant to
yeah,
the
John.
protocol,
Why are you
let's give
ignoring
them to
David?
Your Honor, and we can get a decision on them. And I think it would
What
really
do
be
you do?
beneficial, and the special masters would sort of get a good idea of kind of where Your Honor is at as they proceed with
It's really
searching.
the other way around, David. What did you
Yeah.
do, John?
When you look at the call data, Your Honor, and you look at the redactions to this email that the RJ made,
All
your
right,
decision
there we
on
go.
whether it should be redacted or not is going to turn on, is it journalism? Is it waived?
You
And
do
does Mr. Tullis'
the Lord's
constitutional rights overcome?
John.
So it'll be a good guide.
You're amazing.
And then even if it does and the court provides it, are we
And they
going to
tease in
take
your hand.
precautions to keep it confidential
Sure.
and not part of the public record?
but Your Honor, I guess I would just quibble with that a little bit. I think to some extent that's putting the cart before the horse. I mean, the special masters are supposed to be the ones who are looking at this in the first instance before it goes to Your Honor for any sort of decision. So again, I think that's something we could fight about Monday at our meeting if that's.
Like Monday, you may not even have any objection. It's just a 1.5 page, 1.25 page. If there is an objection, then it can just go to the special master.
Great.
Okay, and how about the special masters?
Well,
Did they say yes?
Yeah,
Good.
Your Honor, this is David. I spoke to both of them. They both agreed.
Thank goodness.
Ugh.
And I sent a letter to Chambers and to
Oh,
all
boy.
parties.
See, oh, you got a
Okay.
booger up there, sir.
So the state's understanding by this.
Nose
interim
cam.
order is these are the special masters. Mr. Tellis didn't raise any objection to either of them
That's correct.
or their positions personally and professionally. So
Save the
the state's presuming he's
pain.
waiving any issue he may
Make
have
it
with
a better
regard to either of those
Saturday.
two serving as
Save
special
the
masters.
pain.
And I think
I
that's.
think
On
he
Jody
stipulated
Day.
with the DRJ, so.
Save the
I
pain.
think it's important.
Give
to talk about
generously.
just in the record, because if the
Save
defense is
the
going to be
pain.
something
Give
like
to the dolly
Metro officers did
fund.
something wrong, then
Save the
I just would be
pain.
concerned that Mr. Tullis.
Give to the cash out.
That Mr. Ryder
The
represents.
cat out.
Cat out.
Their union. And Mr. Ryder is their lawyer when it comes to
He's so
Save
happy.
these
the
type of issues
pain.
of wrongdoing.
Give to
So-
the
I
dolly
assume you knew that,
fund.
but I,
And of course.
Save the
states,
pain.
if I have any objections to
It's for Saturday.
um,
Save
perhaps-
pain.
that can be resolved, right? Whether it be by redactions or what have you. I don't have.
Give
We're
generously.
talking about even having David Rogers serve as
Right,
the special
I-
master.
His head looks like a
On the record, I would like for him to serve.
Okay,
Maybe
kind
later.
of pains. His head looks like
But
a
he's got to be clear
one.
though, David Roger will be looking for
His-
exculpatory material.
His skull is
on behalf
sticking
of Mr.
out of the
Tellis.
base of his neck,
Mr. Tellis
and-
thinks that.
and you can see
officers
the ridge of
misbehave.
his skull.
So
Yeah,
as long as he understands
It's
that and knows
really
that
crazy.
there is
Disturbing.
potentially
you should really let your hair
his
grow out.
view
Yeah.
conflict, then I think it just should be on the record that he understands that.
Yeah, I mean, we're just, he seems to be waiving any conflict.
Hey, Christine. Yep,
and,
it's going to be going
that's
to
what the
trial
word
in
of the
March
Supreme Court
next
was,
year.
and he never raised an objection,
Well,
so-
apparently. So yeah, we'll cover all of the
Your
hearings
Honor, just for the record,
up until then. All the
for the
emotions
record,
in
Your
the
Honor, the
ocean.
DA or the police lawyer has ever brought this
Oh
up
Jesus!
at any time, so, but it's pretty clear that
Yeah.
Mr. Tellis is
I heard
agreeing
enough
with
of this,
David
dude.
Roger, knowing how he's
Well, I
employed.
can count your nose hairs.
is that
Zoom
correct,
out.
Mr. Tellis?
Thank you.
And I think
Dude, learn how to use
any
FaceTime.
evidence that may be on Mr. German's phone that's exculpatory is not likely to be about the police conflict that occurred after Mr. German's death. So this is, once again, just
All
trying
right,
to mix things up.
I just think we just want it to be, the record to be clear and that you have
He is
all
an actual
facts in
lawyer,
order
Nanya.
to make that decision.
Of course.
Yes.
And then,
But
the
not,
other
I don't think,
issues
very
are
trially, or
his
not a
I
lot of
discovery issues
I
and
can't
his
wait to
motion.
see him then in action doing his
I
own
don't know
work
that
for
we
his
Yeah, he
need
own
understands
defense.
enough.
Because that's
I mean,
a
I think
very
it's- I really
stressful
think
situation.
State.
Yeah.
Well, some of the records that he's seeking.
I suppose he could have a
Metro is
second
arguably the holder of the record.
All right, okay. So.
You're
I don't know why he
so
didn't keep his.
emotionally invested.
Jay, did
Could have
they
at
have to
least kept
stay?
his lawyers and then just
I mean,
It's up to them.
Yeah, I guess it is up to you, but
Tried the
I
case
believe
with
the
them.
rest of these issues are like just regular discovery issues. They're not anything about.
No, that's what I've heard, Nanya.
Information.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
like statutory.
He's
discovery
not a criminal
requests.
lawyer.
understood,
he's
Your Honor does
I need
not
to do more
mind.
I don't
research into
mind.
We'd
this.
like to stick around.
I don't know
mind.
how much
I
trial
think
experience
that
he
was
has, but
holding you here,
no
but
criminal.
You're free to go.
Look,
You're
I
free to
don't think, from what we're
sustain
seeing
this
right
as well.
here,
Thank you, Your Honor.
I think he
Your
just
Honor,
understands the
Your
rules of the
Honor,
court
I'm
that
gonna
you
give up my hostage status and sign off.
don't speak over people,
Okay, and Mr.
that
DeMarco's
you
here,
show the court
so-
respect.
Yeah,
and he's welcome to
And
stay.
And
right,
this
and
this
either
is just
Mr.
basic,
Marco or Mr. Tasca have any questions, they
quite
can
basic
All right, sounds good. Thank you very much for appearing.
request for discovery.
Thank you, Your Honor, always good to see you.
Thanks. I think Mr. Tellis wants you to pass
From what I can tell, I
something
mean,
around.
I'm not a lawyer, someone, correct me
No, I
if
mean,
I'm
he'll
wrong, but it looks
understand
like a
that-
basic request for
Yeah.
discovery. And he could have had assistance from his previous duty lawyer,
I mean, are they just the
As to
same
how to
as your motion?
put these requests, motions forward.
But
I mean, the test will come when
You want a
he
copy?
goes to trial because
You know
that's
what?
big boy territory.
Yeah, we'll make a copy.
Sure,
so
that'd
you
be
can have a
great.
Copy of it.
Thank you.
Murder charges, nothing
Every time I
tiny.
ask
Yeah.
for evidence, the DA and Metro get confused, so figured we'd make it easy and list exactly what the court ordered.
Just a second, Mr. Tellis, we're
You're
just
back.
waiting on a couple copies for the other two attorneys.
Yes, sir, thank you.
Correct. Nanya, he's not going to say sustain or what? Attack it? I don't think that's likely. He's looking at it like it's his baby. He's so smug looking. Check him out. Oh, and like, here's the thing, right? I am not one of those people who's just like, oh, he's so smug, he did it. I don't know what he did. I couldn't care, like, at this point, I couldn't care less. The trial hasn't started. But just, like, his expressions are really interesting. Look at that. I think he was a egotistical boss. I can tell. Until that, just if the quotes in that article are correct, like quoted words that he said,
So
then
the first one is the source
Yeah.
for audit logs for the signature software used by Metro.
Yes,
Are we talking about, you have copies of all those search warrants, correct?
that I know, but that's again.
Yeah, his
later
mannerisms.
discussed.
Public record.
I'll
They sent
Well,
tell you in a
and-
sec, Christine. I'll
Not to
get you up to
be
speed in a
private,
sec.
I am
Not the
not, the ones
Good to have
regarding the
you here.
bribery investigation, Your Honor ordered that, but again, it's in the list later down the line. But I think we need to just hit the first point if we may.
You have all the search warrants and the affidavits relevant to this case, correct?
That I know of, yes.
All right, and so you're seeking logs that indicate when the search warrant was signed.
Yes, and we've had this discussion on various hearings already, but I do want to make a point that now we got Mr. Christian here, and I think that he can go ahead and answer a couple of questions if you don't mind regarding
No,
the
I'm
software.
not gonna allow you
No, I
to
wanna ask
question
you, Your
the
Honor,
attorney. I mean, you can ask me questions.
Yeah, and that's for you to ask him if you could,
Oh no.
because, Your Honor has said maybe there are no audit logs, but I've got
I'm
to
just
say.
not as knowledgeable about the technical aspect.
Right, and I assure you that any e-signature company that's in business has to have audit logs. How does one verify the veracity of a signature without being able to trace the path, right? So even in this court, and I would think even more importantly in this court, we have audit logs for these signatures. Right, the question again is, where are they?
Okay?
And so,
Counsel, do you have that? Does Metro keep it?
I don't know.
I have if I could find out the name of the software, I could do additional investigations. I'm sure Mr. Christian has to know the name of the software.
I don't know the name of the software. But I am committed to trying to help everyone figure this out in any way I can.
No,
So-
I think our IT department developed it.
That could be. My understanding is that there is an electronic system for obtaining search
Right.
warrants. And I obviously understand that. And I also understand that Mr. Tellis is very interested in knowing when a judge signed
Right.
some certain warrant. What I was kind of hoping to find out today is which warrant is this, so that I can see if I can help in any way. Is it all of them?
Most importantly are the ones from September 7th. There were 3 different warrants that I'm mainly concerned with.
Okay,
But, again, yeah. In
so the
fact, there
September
were several.
7th warrants, and there's 3 of them signed on that date?
There were, I think, 4 or 5, but,
Oh, okay.
so, there are 3 that I'm mainly concerned with. However, if we could get all the ones from that date, great.
Absolutely.
The goal is to figure out the minute
Right.
and the second that the judge signs the.
Right.
the warrant.
Is that different? I mean, I don't know, maybe it is different from the file, because there is a file stamp on it.
The file stamp
Oops,
doesn't have,
forgot to turn my camera on.
It doesn't have to turn, oh, yeah, well, then.
that, because you ordered us to provide that, we did.
You're there the whole time.
It doesn't have to
for
turn,
like-
okay.
And I know I
Last
watched
few
the
minutes.
hearing, I think that I wasn't at, and it was discussed that maybe
Um,
the court would be the
pause
one that
it
would
for a
need to
second,
make
please.
that instructor's
I'm sorry.
job, because it's the judge.
No, it's all right. I just wanted to give Christine a little bit of a really quick overview. So, the defendant, who we're just looking at, the bald guy, so he was a public figure. What do you
Yeah.
call it? A public administrator,
Something like that, yeah.
something like that, in Las
Wait,
Vegas.
Clark County Public Administrator.
Yeah. So he was sort of a big time guy, publicly elected figure in Las Vegas, and he apparently wasn't that well liked by his employees. It seems. Well, that was what was
Oh,
reported
Halen.
in the news. Yeah, and but he had quite a strong public persona. I've looked up. Hello, Lynn. That's cool. So there was a series of articles written about his workplace and also about him by a man named German. Was it Ray German?
Something German, yeah.
Yeah. And this man decided that he hated him, apparently, allegedly. This is all very allegedly. We do not know yet. He may be completely innocent. However, a few months after these articles were written, which were very, very hurtful to Mr. Tellis, the journalist in question was unalived. And then Mr. Tellis was arrested, and he had these quite large, what seemed to be defensive, or not defensive, offensive, I don't know, kind of cut kind of wounds on his arms, all the way down his arms. So he was arrested for murder, and he is a trained lawyer by trade, but he, went later into politics or whatever it is, and decided that he was going to represent himself. So we all love a self-defending defendant,
Yes.
a per se defendant. So he's a little bit different to ones we've had in the past. He has law training. We hear that he's not a trial lawyer or criminal lawyer.
Yeah.
So we're waiting to see how this all pans out. But this is just a hearing. He's trying to get some issues sorted out with the state, one of which is that he would really like some discovery items. So that is the backstory.
Yep.
Oh, it's going
I
to
don't
trial
know,
in
maybe
March. So we'll be following everything that happens
Yeah,
with this one.
to
really
there would be no reason to
full of
do that.
intrigue.
If it's available.
Do watch
we
the
don't have an
replay
objection to
because
playing. It's
Sal's
a matter
dramatic
of
reading at
figuring
the
out
beginning
exactly what
of
I'm
the
looking for is,
Esquire
it's
article
specific
about
and
this
that
is
helps me. So September 7th,
And there's 4 to 5 warrants on that.
Chef's
date.
kiss.
Okay.
And
Thank
just a point of clarification, as you know, I was an employee.
I love doing this.
And I was involved in the integration of several software packages in my department.
There he
And I know for a
is.
fact that
Hello,
Handsome man.
I don't have an in-house
Holly.
software developer, so they use an
Chapman
out-of-box
Springs.
software, perhaps paying for integration. But there is a company behind it, and that company may be storing its records online.
Okay.
So if nothing else, again, I assure you, 100%, there is an answer to this. That information's there, it just needs to be given.
Okay.
Well, but there's
I mean, I
also-
assume that there's a time stamp. That would make sense to me.
it would make sense to me that somehow somebody, or if it's electronic,
Right.
some of these warrants are telephonic.
Right.
So
Oh, some of them in here, I know,
Maybe, I
because
don't
we
know.
have this, I have discussed with them, telephonic
Let's wait and
warrants.
see.
in the telephonic
And those
ones,
don't get signed until, I mean, you
Yeah.
give the officer permission to sign your name
Right,
when you approve it.
and then the transcript would maybe even sort of indicate the time.
Good to see you,
Right.
Hey,
Holly.
Carly.
So that would be another way. If it's a telephonic one, maybe there would be a record of that.
that's
Well,
not what I'm
if it's a telephonic one, the officer always makes a record of what
Right.
time it is, and then at the end, there's a record of
Yeah.
the time it is concluded.
So if Mr. Tellis has the applications for any telephonic warrants, then maybe he already has the time that they were signed. But I'm gonna look into them.
Right,
And
he would
that's,
need the
again,
he would need the transcript that's given to the court after the fact, that by statute I'm required to review, make sure that it's accurate, and then I sign it at that time. And there, I think it has to be done within, I mean, it's a short time period of days.
We're not going to the candy, Your Honor.
I'm
and
sorry, excuse me?
He said he's bringing up an issue that is irrelevant, because it is true that
Okay, well,
telephonic
it's
search
not
warrants do,
irrelevant if there's telephonic warrants that day.
those are not the items I'm seeking.
Okay,
And Your Honor,
fine, then.
you-
If you're saying the 4 to 5 are no telephonic, that's fine. We can move on. Communications between Detective Gaddis and officers involved in the,
Good question. I would think so.
So. just-
Well, no, I think he had public
Sure.
defenders.
Comment here.
At the beginning, he did, up until just recently. Actually, no, it wasn't even just recently.
Yeah.
I found out he was going per se about 3 or 4 months ago. But yeah, he did have some public defenders for his very
We're not in
first
possession of
appearance.
any more emails, and then I think Mr. Christian probably wants to speak to the.
We can find out.
is there a time frame?
Well, no, Your Honor, why would there be time frame on a finite investigation? Just every email.
Because it's a finite investigation, so
Exactly,
yeah.
exactly right, every single,
There would be a time frame when it started.
but if I don't know that time frame, how am I to pick the time frame, Your Honor?
Okay, well, now I know you don't know that time frame.
Well, Your Honor, I'm at liberty to say that investigation has not been closed yet. So it's an ongoing investigation. But I think that I've already tried to comply with this request because I've already looked for emails between Detective Jaffe, who is the detective on this bribery investigation, and Detective Gaddis, who's the lead detective in homicide. But with that said, I did the search for emails, of course, exhibit 1, but I can go back and find out if there's any other communications between Detective Gaddis and officers involved in the bribery investigation. But I think I just want to make sure that would probably be emails, and I've already done that.
All right, and if you do find those, I would just ask that you provide them to the court for an in-camera review to see if they would be appropriate to turn over since it is an ongoing investigation.
Right.
The next one, the phone records. Detective Gaddis stated she received on September 5, 2022, including the emails from that date and the search warrant authorizing Metro to obtain
Oh.
in the records on or before September 5th. And when I
That's
read
a
that,
good
this is in the
question.
affidavit.
Is it means
Something affidavit
tested?
on that search warrant, and they're just kind of a sentence, and so it's hard to
And
tell where those phone records came
Get
from.
this.
So
Could you hold it
those
for a sec?
records were
Yeah.
provided over.
I am blown away. Actually, before I get to my thing, David just responded. They don't have to pay for an attorney, and they will get money for expert witnesses and things like that, but not much.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. That answers my question. Thank you. That's perfect. That answers it. Okay. Yeah, that's from David. Thank you. That's why we're part of the Making It Simple network, because we don't know squat really when it comes down to that stuff. Well, it helps to have a real lawyer.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay. So that makes sense. They still get, I would think, the same allocated money. That sounds to me like they get the same allocated money for expert witnesses and things, which was Josie's question. When you're pro se, do you have to fund all your defense? Well, the bit that they don't get funded is that he doesn't get paid for his time, like a duty lawyer. Do you guys call it duty lawyer?
Just public defender.
Public defender. Yeah, we call it a duty lawyer. There's two different ones. We have public defender, I suppose, at this kind of level of court, but duty lawyers are sort of when you just go in, you've got like a small matter. But anyway, so you get the money that you would get for like resources or hiring people from outside, but he's not getting paid to be a lawyer.
Yeah.
Like you would get that bit of budget.
Okay.
Anyway, but what I found out is that here it's means tested, right? So you don't have just the right to have, like if I own a house, for example, right? So if I were charged with something, and I had to go to a court like this at this level, right, for a decent sized charge, I couldn't just have a lawyer give it to me and my expenses paid for to get my like we're just talking about.
Same here.
You couldn't too?
Oh yeah. It's only if you're like indigent.
Really?
Like, I probably could not. I doubt I would qualify for a public defender.
Oh, it is means tested then.
Yeah. Or
I
either
thought
I'm
that you guys
income.
had.
Yeah.
I thought you guys had the right to
we do, but
defense.
If you can't afford one, then one will be given to you. But what that means is it kind of varies.
Oh, I thought that everybody had the same right to a defense given to you by the state.
No, not really.
No? Okay. I'm learning things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was one thing that your country was like, you get that.
But no.
Wow. Okay. We are means tested too. Oh, I'm red. Really?
Yeah.
Coming out with the facts. Oh God, what's wrong? He's disapproving of this situation.
Okay, so when
We'll
we
need to
have flowers
stand
in
up.
here, provided it to Mr. Tucker.
Not on that day, he said he didn't
That
have
just-
it. We
like,
got it
that
from
freaked me out.
detective and we provided it out
It's like,
to his investigation.
What is okay? So
What
someone
I
like
did
charges
see
me with a
was
felony
returns
and I
from a
didn't
search
do
warrant
it.
that
I
was
get
later
exonerated
investigated.
and I'm still
Not-
out like
not
$1
one that
million
was from
bucks.
September
Oh,
5th
yeah.
or before. So there's more
Even
than
if-
one copy.
yeah,
There's
I
the
mean-
one that they actually validly did a search warrant for
Yeah,
later
basically.
in September. I got returns from
That's
that, but I do not have the returns for.
Yeah, you don't get
the
your money
alleged
back.
September 5th.
Shit.
Yeah.
You just provide the court what it is you turn over,
Sure.
okay?
We'll go bankrupt,
And not just the records.
And then if there's a mistrial and they have to have
and the
another
search warrant
trial,
itself as well.
all their money was spent on the first trial.
All right, then,
Yeah.
every warrant, I mean, clearly you're entitled to
Ah.
warrants in this case.
There were talks
And I
about
believe you've represented, you have all the warrants. They're public
self-defense
records,
cases if
I
acquitted,
unsealed them in the
that
beginning of the case. And
there'd be
so
like some
Mr.
bar
Ridley,
for
there
the
are no
jury
more
to
than what you
decide
provided to the court.
if the defense should get their
Okay.
And
money
the
back.
say, for the record,
they spent on the defense, but it really
Okay.
didn't go
Are there
anywhere.
warrants on that case?
That would be something that I probably wouldn't be as comfortable talking about.
It's infuriating.
Again,
I
it's
just
an ongoing
wanted to
investigation.
throw something.
Maybe what.
Well, not only
we
did
do
he
is
lose everything,
I can
his
look into that
sister or his
and
wife's
if we're
sister
already maybe
ended
the same
up
thing,
stealing
but
their
we're
house,
on
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
And then.
And he couldn't really go to court to fight it.
With that,
He was in jail.
With what?
with.
So she got away with a lot of
Did
stuff.
we not get these search warrants?
You may not get what search warrants?
All right.
This September
Wow.
5th Provision of records is allegedly based on a search warrant from the bribery investigation. And so, if I don't get the search warrants, I'm gonna have an issue trying to prove
Okay.
the police misconduct.
All right, I'm gonna ask counsel, he's gonna see if there's any warrants that fit that, but since it is an ongoing investigation, I'm gonna ask him to provide it to the court. If I don't turn it over, I'll tell you whether they exist or don't exist. And I always, if I'm not gonna turn something over, I always mark it, make it for the record and seal it. So if there's ever a need for any review, it's
Is
there.
Murdoch considered
So,
indigent?
however it's handled, there'll be a complete and accurate record of it.
Yeah, I know they're doing it pro bono though.
For example, these records were obtained using a facially
Pro bono.
invalid search warrant, then they shouldn't actually be probable cause
Okay,
in
now
the
I'm
September
hearing about
7th
that.
search
That
warrant. Right?
reminds
So,
We would have a hearing about that.
right.
But I can't make any of these decisions until, I know what the status of the case is.
Yes,
And you know what, you
and-
said you filed a motion, but we couldn't find anything.
I'll check with,
Yeah, we checked.
I'll
we
check with
couldn't-
co-counsel on the Frank's hearing.
Right, it could be, sometimes it takes a minute for it to come out of the queue and get filed, but yesterday we couldn't find anything.
Yeah, no, that co-counsel filed on that, but I'll check with him and see what's going on with that.
All right, no problem.
But yeah, of course, it's just important to get my concerns on the record, Your Honor.
All righty, and then vehicle and body cam video of the traffic stop, and is that September 5th?
That would be September 7th in the morning.
Okay,
Your Honor, our records show a link was sent to his investigator on July 19th of 2023, and it was downloaded on July the 27th of 2023.
All we received is some video from, and let's mention at the very bottom, some video from Mr. Gurman's home.
Go back in.
And some of that was actually edited so that there were black portion of it. My investigator, I didn't know that I was gonna have to bring them in to basically testify that we didn't get them, but we do not have that body cam video, and I'm sure the DA could make a new link available without too much inconvenience. If in fact, those were already provided.
I mean, it's
We can
good.
show the audit trail, it's been provided and it was downloaded, but we can re-provide it.
Okay, and it was downloaded by Mr. Frankie?
Yeah, on July the 27th.
Okay, just double check with them,
I
because,
did,
he may have it. I mean,
We-
how
we-
do you
We spoke
use,
yesterday, Your Honor.
how do you use stuff like that? Does
We,
he bring in a laptop?
he does.
Okay.
So, and we discussed it yesterday as well. And for a fact, his assertion is that the only video we've received, from
Okay,
what
we
we
may have to
requested.
bring Mr. Frankie in here, because I feel like we just do this every hearing, where, I
but we
mean,
have
so
yet to,
we may have to, I mean,
But
if the
perhaps if
state
even
has
Mr.
records of it being, sent, you can't just spend time, reproducing. I mean, you're entitled to all this stuff, but I mean, the state's telling me they have actual documentation that it was provided. And so,
Your Honor
listen,
has
if
implied
they
to you
didn't-
tonight.
quite the opposite. If it exists and you don't have it, the state's going to provide it,
Thank you.
okay?
For the record, Your Honor, there's no vehicle video. If the reference there is dash cam, we don't have dash cam.
Okay, so just body cam
It's just
now?
body cam.
So it would just be relevant to body cam. Service jackets for Gallus and Jaffe?
Right, Your Honor, that you declared that the disciplinary records in your order would be available for, as a copy or available for inspection. That is in the minute.
Well, I mean, I'm assuming the state's gonna follow the proper procedure.
Yes, as the court's
No,
aware, we
we're
usually
not.
do that for all Metro employees prior to trial. My understanding is the court is directing us to do that in anticipation of the Frank's hearing. So we have made that request of Metro, and then the records, if any, will go to the court in camera.
And then typically, Your Honor, in camera versus coming to,
Yeah, that's
Because-
absolutely. If
how
it
are we
comes
gonna make
to-
use of
well, the
those?
process is the state has an obligation to turn it over if they believe it's appropriate, it's exculpatory or impeachment evidence. They don't even have to give it to the court. I mean, the only time the state has to give it to the court is whether they're not sure whether it should be turned over and they want the court to make that decision. That's the only time that I get it. But if the
Because-
state reviews it, they think it should be turned over, it doesn't even have to go to me, it can go straight to you.
And I'll just be clear, constitutional precedent says that I'm allowed to have that.
All right?
Constitution president said I'm allowed to have it. What?
And get,
Okay.
check with gas.
All right, so, and that has been turned over this morning,
Yeah, exhibit 1.
okay? And then complete,
I
all
know.
right, just what you were talking about, with the video you have, what is it, body cam video?
Oh, you send them.
Has it been edited?
I don't know, I haven't.
And that's a concern, again, the editing of the video, not the fact that we received it or not, because we did receive edited video.
How can you tell it's edited? I mean, I don't wanna sound, how can you tell it's edited?
Well, there are blacked out spots, so if they haven't edited, then certainly providing another copy that we know for certain was downloaded from their system should show that. I guess
You know,
we're
black
still getting-
screen comes up?
That's what Mr. Frankie conveyed to me.
Okay. All right,
If-
and then, there were further,
How are you
there
gonna
were other
tell
things on your
who-
motion. I don't
no,
know,
it's what
is that all
black
you wanted to
spots.
address?
Yes, sir. Beyond the fact that, of course, obviously, if there's anything that the state has yet to disclose for their case in chief, or if there are any other reports that they have failed to use, whether or not they intend to use those for their case in chief, we're officially making the request now. I know we did our file review, but I had not made the invitation, so I didn't want to get down to trial and then have the state say, well, you didn't ask for this, that, or that. So we're just covering our bases and making sure that the state can, at this time, say that they have everything in place.
The state, well, both sides will comply with 174235, which means anything that the state intends to use in your case in chief and or rebuttal, needs to be turned
Why does she
over.
keep doing this?
And then the witness list, obviously.
Yes, with our case.
Maybe she has a
I don't think the statute
lice.
covers rebuttal, because obviously we don't tell us may be presenting, but to the extent there's any discovery, we're following our obligations under the statute and constitutional requirement.
All right, and Mr. Tellis will do the same. Is there anything else?
Again, the invitation of Brady, but that's it.
And
So
then,
he invokes Brady, obviously, the state's position is that's all tied up in the Garmin devices.
Right.
But then he declines wanting to do that, so I'm not sure what to do with that.
well, I mean, we have to, I guess, wait until the special master.
Yep.
All right, so I'd like to set this for a status check to see how we're doing, especially since you all are gonna meet on Monday and try to figure out. And hopefully it was conveyed to the special masters that, like, timeliness,
Well, the
you know what I
special,
mean? That they gotta like be on it.
they've got to do it, and then they also are gonna have to get a digital expert as
Right.
well. So, because presumably that's the expert we're gonna have to call at trial. So, there's a lot of complications. We can discuss some of this with council on Monday, but I think it's gonna be a really cumbersome process.
Right, and the Supreme Court indicated that special masters were the ones
Isn't
hired
that just like
the technical person. Go ahead.
So these requests.
see what's going to
Minutes
happen?
overview.
Dave?
I'd like it if we could get these items now. These are nothing to do with, the special master protocol.
That's what I was trying to indicate. I want to set it for a status check to
We
make
had
sure
a-
that these
another hearing on
discovery
Why is
issues
he focusing on his
are
hands?
resolved.
It's his hands
Mm.
weak.
I mean, I'll put it on for like 2 weeks and both of you have an opportunity
maybe the
Sit
Have a bare
cameraman's turned
hand.
on.
to look to see if there's
Maybe.
anything additional.
Cameraman
Could you
wants
ask
a-
Mr. Frankie to be here that day as well. It might be helpful.
We do have a hearing in a week. And again, I
Maybe
would
he
like
went to
What is
hand
it on for?
corner school.
it's on for,
That was vacated, that was the previous pretrial conference, Charles.
Oh, okay.
I thought we had another hearing for this order and confirming, whether or not the special masters would serve.
Oh, October 26th, but
So again, I think if this evidence is readily available, it should be no problem to introduce by that point.
yes, we did.
Fair point. Hand it over. MS. Like, where is it? Cough it up.
Okay, we're just trying to figure out the best day. We have some pretty heavy calendars, so we're gonna set it for,
That's gonna be November 1st at 10:30.
and then,
Same with the other hearing next week.
pardon?
Oh,
The
his
slash
neck
check next
crease
week
is
will be scheduled
creeping.
to November 1st.
Like it
And
happened.
then it'll be at 10:30.
Every so
It'll be
often,
after I'm done.
his
with
head
the
goes
morning
back.
calendar. I'm sorry, anything else?
Yes, Your Honor. So just
Oh,
for clarification, we do. have
Anything
state
else?
deadlines.
Yes. Anything else?
And now we're
Yes.
talking about over 3 months now. By the
Can I
time
get
this
your
next
number?
hearing, we should hopefully have the evidence that I've requested that we know is there.
Okay.
Ooh.
I still have, again,
Well, I mean,
another-
it's our position.
Throwing
We've provided it
shade.
Twice before, but yeah, we'll provide it again.
and again, if they provide it in this encrypted format where I gotta, hire a hacker to open the file, that's not providing us the information.
Hire a
agree.
hacker?
It has to be provided in a format. That's why I think it's helpful if Mr. Frankie is here
Yeah.
in order for him
Speaking
to
of-
convey that to us.
Yeah, speaking of that issue, Mr. Frankie did ask for assistance. We provided him assistance on August the 9th. He sent back an email saying thank you, indicating the problem was solved, and we're just hearing it 2 months later. So
Okay, well, just talk to him and so that's why I think it's helpful if he's here.
Well, at the
You
same time,
know?
perhaps it would be
We're
helpful
just
if we
hearing
drop
it
up
2
that
months
draft
later.
Tomorrow or today, so you can just go ahead and put that information on that draft.
Mm-mm.
We've
Then
we've had it
provide it.
before.
Okay, so we'll see on,
I actually got another issue as well.
Of course you
I
do.
just had a quick question. Did I hear right? So 1026 is
right,
vacated
we're just gonna
And
move
we'll
it
do
to
that.
November 1st.
on 11/1. Okay, thank you.
Actually, 2 points, Your Honor.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
So first, you're clarifying by saying that you're not going to give me this evidence that we've already agreed on the agenda?
What are you talking about? I said nothing even close to that.
Okay, well,
Nothing.
I
I'm not
recommended-
gonna make the state continually provide the same thing
Oh,
over
this
and
is
over
gonna be
again.
good.
So they've made representations that it's been provided. If not, you can have it. And if it's in, they've now made representations that Mr. Frankie got the assistance that he needed and that he wrote back and said, thank you, all is good. So I think you need to have a conversation with Mr. Frankie.
What
Yeah,
about this?
anything you don't have, no, I'm not gonna send a drive over and then go through the same thing in 2 weeks. So that's why I think it would be appropriate for Mr. Frankie to be here.
And if Mr. Frankie still makes the same, assertions, then we wait even
Then we
longer
have
for
to
this.
figure it
then
out,
we need
how
longer
to
for
figure
this
out
evidence.
how to, get you the evidence in a format that you can see.
What if perhaps instead Mr. Frankie goes over to the DA's office, shows them what we have, and then they go ahead and give us what we need?
He can do that. I don't have a problem
Is
with
that,
that.
is that
He
a
can do
problem
that.
for?
I mean,
for
he'll
the
have
DA?
to call and make an
He'll
appointment
have to make an appointment.
with the
but-
DA's office. No, I can do that.
Sure.
Anything else?
I think that's obviously a pretty common sense solution.
Okay.
And then also, your Honor said you were inclined to set a Frank's hearing, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, I haven't even seen the motion, but if you ask for it, I'll set it.
Okay, very good. And we'll make sure that the motion's filed before November 1st. And then by that time, I should have
Sure.
the
No problem.
availability of Mr. Modafferi, so we can go ahead and set the hearing.
Yeah, no problem. Absolutely.
Great, thank
All
you.
right, thank you.
Okay, that is PASAG.
Oh yeah.
That was like 1,000,000% PASAG.
Oh yeah. That's great.
Okay. Whoa.
This is getting spicy.
It's like a petulant child already testing Ms. Lauper. Like her true colors, true colors were shining through.
Yeah.
The girls just want to have fun, right? Like, you just gotta let the girls have fun.
Gotta let the girls out sometimes.
Yeah, right. Okay, wow. All right, his true colors were shining
Yeah.
through just now.
He was good all day or all
He
through
was
it.
he behaved himself, but like as I was saying, like it's very emotional.
Yeah.
He's on trial for murder, and he's not even on trial yet. The jury's not even there. Like this hasn't even started.
Yeah.
And no matter how much like knowledge he has,
The emotions come into it.
this is going to be really difficult.
Yeah.
And I'm really interested to see how this plays out because I've never seen a pro se defendant have
Law.
like not any clue at all.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that he is going to be like Perry Mason.
Good, but
But-
better than Daryl Brooks.
well, he'll be interesting.
Summers. Yeah.
It'll be really interesting because he understands the rules of the court at least to some degree.
Yeah.
But you can tell he's seriously egotistical.
Yeah.
Like he's really egotistical.
Yeah.
This dude. Like there's been some egotistical ones before, but this one, oof.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know the facts of the case anywhere near well enough to know whether
No.
there's any sign of guilt there. I don't know. Not a
Yeah.
clue. But yeah, wow. Interesting. So set for March. So by
Yeah.
the sounds of him, he's going to call a lot of
Cops. Well, he's claiming it was a setup, so
no, I mean he's going to be calling for a lot of hearings. He's going to put a lot of motions forward. He's going to be in that courtroom a lot before trial. So I think we're going to be seeing a lot of him between now and March, if it goes to trial in March. Interesting. Thank you everyone for turning up. It's
absolutely.
nice to see you all. Hey, oh wow, I just realized that this guy is accused of killing the reporter. Yeah, go seriously online. Like, I'm not that much of a rewatcher, but after this is done, go back to the beginning of this video and watch Sal's dramatic reading of the Esquire article that we found, right? Because it's so worth it. Don't read anything else.
Yeah.
Go back and listen. You have to watch it
Yeah.
just for that, right? Just to give you background, because it's such a funny article and Sal reads it well. Yeah. Cool. Thank you everyone for being here. I have to go take my little girl to school, so I better run. Make sure that you see us tomorrow because we have a wicked Wicked, the beckoning stream, Murdoch, the Becky, everything, all that's happening later in the week. Halloween, that's Thursday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. There'll be guests, there'll be games, all that stuff. And as per usual, oh yes, Josie, save the pins, give generously to Daily Talks, like D-Large Evidence Fund. We want the pins to continue on Saturdays after Jody. We really do. And last but not least, below alerts to Daily Talk EU and all friends of MLS, get onto David's channel, Making More Simple Network. He makes all this possible, and thanks for your contribution today, David. Get over there. You can access the Discord. You can get the live alerts to all of the MLS network, and you become a member of probably the best YouTuber out there. I'm just going to put that out there, and hopefully he'll say nice things about me. Sending all the positive energy. Looking forward to everything. Yay, that's so wonderful. Great. Thank you, guys.
All right. We will see you tomorrow.
You will indeed.